Nsanyusa Obalaba. And thank you for taking time to come and study these things. Seeing that the numbers are as they are, and you know the people that you've left behind, you're also going to be our what? Teachers to the rest. Don't remain with this information, okay? This slide is coming out of a presentation by Director of Traffic, Afande Nwabine. I didn't want to replicate it. I just wanted to show you the way it is, okay? It shows causes of crashes, okay? And I want you to just look at this side, the highest numbers, okay? Speeding, careless overtaking. Careless overtaking includes speeding, okay? If you skip unknown clauses, you see following two clause. Following two clause includes speeding, in a way, okay? Now, I'm going to take you through the EPS regulations. However, it is also important to take you through the biggest cause of our road crashes, which is speed, okay? So my presentation is going to touch on the speed and then EPS, because we have made some changes in the two regulations. I'm sure many of you have participated, okay? Drivers of buses, drivers of taxis, and trucks, okay? So, okay, let's just look at the current standing in terms of road safety. You know our road safety situation is not good. We lost 5,144 people just last year, okay? But I want us to look at this. The 60%. Ebitundu nkaaga ku buli 100 ku bantu abafa mu road accident. Si bavuzi ba motoka, si bavuzi ba piki, naye basaabaze, bantu batambulira ku makubo, bantu abavuga obugaali abatali in charge of the vehicle. The 60% are not in control of the vehicle, okay? So when you complain about the fines that we are putting in place, these people rely on government to protect them. And that is why we come up with the measures that we come up with. And you're going to find there are a number of changes in the way we are doing things, okay? When you look at the motorcyclists are considered vulnerable people, yeah? But 33% of all the fatalities that we have had in the country are from motorcyclists, okay? And if you add the passengers on motorcycles, it goes to 47%. What does that mean? That if we tackle this 47%, reduce it, we shall have a better, safer roads, okay? That's the first. Number two, if we reduce the highest cause of crashes, we shall have safer roads. So let's go to the speed itself, okay? So we all know that almost 80% of all crashes are due to human error. These things of bad roads, it's a lot to do with human error. Because even when you get onto a bad road, you know it's a bad road. And you know how to behave on a bad road, but either you're rushing to get somewhere, you're not patient enough, you didn't have enough sleep, you're driving a vehicle that you know to be having mechanical conditions. So even when we talk about the bad road, the condition of the vehicle, there's a bit of an element of human error because we know what we are driving. We know where we are driving. When you are in Kabale, you know the terrain you're driving on, and when it's raining, you also know that the roads are slippery. So a lot of the things, if we address the human error elements, we shall have safer roads, okay? So we have made adjustments, first in the Act and then in the regulations. And we have looked at the EPS, but also the registration plate regulations, child restraints, fastening crash helmets, so many changes. And we shall be taking you through many of these as we go ahead. But as I told you, 44.5% of all road crashes are caused by two elements: speeding or careless overtaking, okay? Now, as drivers, you can tell when you're driving and when you're overtaking, you can tell that, I've made a mistake here, right? Now, let's do that before overtaking. Let's not do it while we are overtaking. You think, this is a mistake. Let's be careful. Let's have a safety culture within us so that we reduce the accidents. Most of these incidents that you see, Muiseko, just avoid it because tomorrow it's going to be an accident. So speed, specifically speed. Speed, I think, is the biggest, what you would have as a risk factor. We have 5 risk factors. We have speed, alcohol use, child restraints, speed seat belts, and helmet use. But the most important is speed. I'll tell you, when you are overtaking, let's say it's careless overtaking, if you're not moving too fast, you'll have the chance to either come back or maneuver off the road or in a way avoid that accident, okay? 2, if you are traveling at a specific speed, whatever mistake that you make, okay, the impact of that mistake will be determined by the speed at which you're driving. If you're driving too fast, okay, if you make that mistake, there's every chance that you're going to have a fatal accident, a serious accident. And if you're driving slow enough, you can avoid that accident entirely, okay? But also, when you drive, when you get an accident, the magnitude of that accident, the impact in terms of whether people will die or not, will be determined by how fast you're moving, okay? So we have had some studies done on speed, okay? And the studies show that if you consider an average speed, we are a number of people. Let's say we are 50 people in here, okay? And let's say each person has a speed at which they drive, okay? If you add up that speed and divide by the number of people we are, then you get the average speed. Now, we have an average speed for the country. It is got by picking all the speeds that people drive at and dividing by the road users, the motorists. Then you get an average. And we are saying that if you increase that average speed by just 1%, if it was 50 kilometers per hour, and that average speed moves to 51 kilometers per hour, you change the risk of a fatal accident by 4%, and the risk of a serious accident by 3%. So every time the average speed increases, the risks increase by a bigger margin. But also, if you reduce this average speed by 5 kilometers per hour, by 5%, right? You reduce that risk by 30%. Now it's a bit practical. If your average speed was 50 kilometers per hour, you reduced it to 45 kilometers per hour, it increases the perception, okay? If you are driving at 50 and now you decide to drive at 45 kilometers per hour, it improves your perception It improves your performance in terms of how to maneuver any challenge. So the risk reduces by a bigger margin. Okay? So that is why I say that the issue of speed is probably the most important matter to be handled in road safety. And you're going to see that we have actually handled it. Now, on our side, we have handled. Now it is you to handle your side by complying, by understanding why we are reducing these speeds. Not just because there's an office on the road, but understanding that when I drive at the required speed, those speeds that have been studied and considered safe, then I'll keep myself safe, I'll keep the road users safe.